Hey, what's up? What's going on? It's your girl, Mary Jane. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It would be greatly appreciated from the bottom of my heart, my peace, my peoples. So let's talk about Baller, Season 3, Episode 6, I Hate New York. Let's talk about they played music from the 60s, from the 70s, from the 80s, the 90s, and 2000. I'm saying the music on this show is just on point. It's just so good. So let's start off. We have Mr. Anderson as Brett and Spencer and Joe. And Brett is telling Spencer and Joe that he wants to travel around the world or around the country to get people to invest in, the football stadium that they want to build in Vegas. But Spencer thinks that's a bad idea because, hey, listen, we have to have the money on the table by next week. We got to have all this done. We can't leave the agency alone. So then, Mr. Anderson comes up with a good idea about going to New York and talking to the head of the company, the CEO, which Mr. Anderson forgot to inform his partners that it's his brother. His brother Julian is the person that owns the company, and Julian and Mr. Anderson don't get along. They can't stand each other since childhood, and basically they make fun of each other. They just don't have a good relationship at all. They're always trying to get one up on the other, and it's like Mr. Anderson is afraid and timid of his brother Julian. So moving on, then he goes to talk to Larry, and Larry said, you know what? We are going to, he was like, oh, thank you for the dinner. And he hands back, the plate that was from the last episode when Larry got beat up by Bird, the coach of the Dolphins. And so, I have that same blue plate in my house or a teal color plate in my house. So, Larry is telling Charles that, you know what? It's all right. It's all good. You're going to end up and you're going to fire Bird. That's what you're going to do. And you know what? And, Charles is like, why? I don't want to do that. Why do I have to do your dirty work? And then, Larry goes, you know what? Maybe you and your lovely wife that's a cook invite him over for dinner and he can say amen this time. And he was like, then you can bring me a plate of the leftovers because his wife is a good cook. And so, Charles is like, nah, I don't want to do this. So Charles has to do it now. And, Larry is making him do it. So it's just like, damn, Larry, you can't take an ass whooping and move on and move forward. No, you have to throw Bird out the game because he confronted you and he stood up to you, Larry. So that's where we go with that. And so we move on to, Jason talks to Ricky on the phone about the deal with the Patriots, and it's only a 1-year deal. Ricky doesn't want the deal. He wants to wait up for more money. Jason's like, I actually, worked for free the last couple of years because they were at a brunch or something. And he throws an orange as Jason's leaving. And Ricky was like, why you got to do that, man? Why you got to do that? And so now, Ricky, he goes to see Charles' wife, which is a nurse, and he wants some help to find out what's going on with the symptoms that he's suffering from. So he meets up with her. He brings T to the office with him, and he's just like, yo, I'm having dizziness, I'm having headaches. And T was like, yeah, he have a mood swing, he's irritable, he's disrespectful, he's short-tempered. And he was like, he can't remember anything. And Ricky goes, I remember telling you to stay home. So that was funny. And so Amber, I think her name is Amber, right? Amber, Charles's wife says, I'm not a neurologist, but I can hook you up with my friend and she can take care of you and all this other stuff. And basically saying that, so Ricky was like, yo, could all this be kept quiet? Because now Ricky is concerned and he's worried now. So that's why he's going to see a neurologist. So he sees a neurologist and basically he's not passing the test. It says that he suffered from, temporary concussion difficulties due to him being hit, and so he's gonna need 4 weeks to heal. And he's like, oh man. So it's like Ricky's just feeling it. Ricky's going through everything. His baby mother done bounced on him. He hasn't got signed to a team yet. People's jerking him out of money. And and he can't let anybody know that he's suffering from these conditions because then he won't get signed or his career could be over. So the doctor tells him, what's gonna help you is to eat this type of food. But then the doctor says to Ricky, I know what's wrong with you, but I don't know what's wrong with your friend. And T goes, I smoke a lot of weed. I smoke a lot of weed. I was just like, oh, too funny. So she's telling him blueberry and avocado, and that's really good. I do eat them things. I do eat the fruits. So at least they gave some credible advice um on the show. So Ricky's going shopping with his boy T. They're buying all the avocados. Ricky's on the phone with Jason, telling him, hey, just sign the deal. I don't care how much money is. I don't care, just sign the deal immediately. Because Ricky now, he's scared, he's nervous, because he doesn't know if he's gonna heal, he's gonna be able to play again. And once the team finds out that there's something wrong with him, he might not get signed to another team, and his career could be over. And then on top of that, we know that Candace, the head of the league, the woman, she kind of knows there's something going on with Ricky. So he got to hurry up and get signed and get this out the way, because then it's going to be a problem. So moving on from that, we get to, Spencer and Joe and Mr. Anderson and Julian. They finally meet up. They take a jet there. The jet's nice. They get to, and while they're in the midst of the air, the meeting has been routed to go to the Hamptons. And they're like, oh, so Mr. Anderson, Brett, he's upset, he's mad, he doesn't want to go to the house. He goes, now this smuck is gonna brag about his house, his property, his cars, and all this other stuff. So they get there, they show up, and that's when Mr. Anderson, Brett, he tells the guys that, hey, it's my brother. And so Julian comes out. He's disrespectful to his brother, calling him names, making fun of him, talking about he eats paste. He lost all the family money. He hasn't doubled his money. He's such a smuck. He's a nobody. He's all this and that. And then, his brother Julian also gets at, Spencer, talking about, like, how can you manage a big deal like this? You're not that smart, this and that. And, like, who's gonna watch over the agency? He goes, well, my man Joe's been watching over the agency. And the Julie goes, yeah, that's why Vernon been suspended for 4 days for cannabis. And so basically he's just saying, like, F this deal, I don't know. And so then the guys, so Spencer's just like, you know what, forget it. And he gives him the middle finger, and they leave. They tried to get back on the jet, but the jet has been, the pilot said, hey, we can't fly, but it was actually Julian keeping them there. And so that's when Brad, he says, hey guys, let's go to my favorite spot I used to go to back when I lived here. So they went to the bar and they're drinking. It's a nice establishment as well. And so Julian, he shows up, and he was like, oh, I know, I almost want to laugh, because it was a good trick having you guys stay over here or whatever, because he's the one that said there was something wrong with the jet, and that's why the jet couldn't fly, and told the pilot to get off the plane. And so then Julian says, hey, I want in on the deal, but only way I'll take in on the deal if you guys give me full control of all you guys gotta do is sit back and get rich, and I'll put all the money in, because it's gonna make $2.3 billion. It's gonna double, and I'm gonna have my people want it, and this and that. And so Joe was like, hey, that sounds like a good deal, because that's, and so Julian says, hey guys, you guys can go talk about it amongst yourself. And so Spence and Mr. Anderson are not down for it. They don't want to give Julian that much control, that much power, and they'll rather throw the deal under the ground, end the deal. But Joe was like, this is the American way, sit back and get rich and do nothing, come on, this is how we do this. And so there was like, F him, F that, F this. But before that, Spence gave Julian the double middle fingers when he was at his house before he had left. And so there was like, and so Julian was especially like, yo, how can Spencer be in charge of this deal when he gets mad really quick and give people the middle fingers? And then Spence was like, that was only for you, bro. And so the guys talk about it, and so then Julian comes with the drink for his brother, and the guy says, no, we're not going to take the deal. He goes, I really thought you were stupid, Brett, but you're even more stupid. And he was like, I masked off my father's fortune. He was like, stop using the word father like you're some British cunt or something like that. So they end up saying no to the deal. And so then we get to, Charles goes to fire Berg, the coach of the Dolphins, and Berg is like, that asshole, this mother sucker, this, that. He's throwing a fit, he's throwing a tantrum, he's throwing everything all over the field, all the Gatorade, the juice, the table. He's yelling, he's screaming, and he was giving, Charles a pep talk, saying, Charles, you need to stop being so weak and so nice. You need to be mean. You need to be mean. And so he leaves, and then so Charles goes up to the office, and guess what? Larry hires Kasim. He hires Kasim now, and so Charles is like, so why did you hire him? Oh, because it makes sense. But you know what? You're going to be responsible for his behaviors. Make sure he stay out of trouble. He don't get pulled over with a gun. He don't do anything like that. And then if he continues with good behavior, I'll take credit for all his wonderful things he does, how he brings the team up and scores and score and all the things like that. His statistics in sports. But if he messes up, you're going to take the blame for all his mess up if he gets caught with a loaded gun in the car. And so Charles was like, okay, thank you. So Charles is upset. Charles goes home. He tells his wife he wants to quit. He wants to leave his job because, Larry's evil. And it's just, Charles is a really nice person. And I don't know how he's going to be able to stand up to Larry unless he gets something on Larry, or he can get people on his side with Larry. But Charles is looking to go to a new gig. So we'll see what happens with that situation, how Charles is going to stay good amongst the wolves. So we get back to Spencer and Joe and Mr. Anderson. And Mr. Anderson says, you know what? I'm going to sell everything I own. I'm going to sell our business. I'm going to sell our company. I was like, what? You can't do that. He was like, I'm going to sell everything. I'm going to sell ASM, our company, our sport agent company. I'm going to sell all my stocks, my property. I'm going to take a loan, and I'm going to do everything possible, and I'm going to invest in this deal. We're going to make this Vegas deal happen. I said I would be the end of the puzzle of this deal, and that's what I'm going to do. And so, Spence and Joe is like, this is not a good idea, because what if something goes wrong? And then plus they lose their jobs as well, because if something goes wrong or things go haywire, they're at fault. And plus, Spence owes Vern money, he owes Ricky money, and a whole other bunch of people money. So we'll see where that goes. Is Mr. Anderson actually going to sell everything? Is he wants to get back at his brother so much, and he wants to outdo him and outshine him, where he becomes a billionaire, that he's willing to put everything on the line and borrow. And, Spencer's like, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea. You shouldn't do it. So we'll see what happens. But the music was epic on this show as usual. And we'll see what happens. We'll see if Kasim can bring up the numbers. We'll see what Larry does with Charles. It's quite interesting. And I don't think Julian is just going to go away and let his brother, Mr. Anderson, get all the money, or a brat get all the money, or get all the kudos for this deal. So some way, somehow, Julian is going to cause trouble amongst the guys, especially amongst the company, the association, the ASM Sports Management Company, because he is the CEO. So we'll see what happens. It was another good episode, good music, good acting, good writing. Peace. I'm out.